A night where love became violent, pride became sacrifice, and two legends step away together. 3 stories, 1 crossroads, and consequences that still haven't stopped rippling through Prestige Wrestling Empire. Tonight, we feature parts of PWE's Sin and Sacrifice event on the eFed Watcher. Hello, everybody. My name is Ticket, and this is the eFed Watcher. Tonight, we take a special look into the event last week from Prestige Wrestling Empire called Sin and Sacrifice. This show was incredible in both matches and storytelling, but I can't cover it all, so I've instead picked 3 stories to cover, and interestingly enough, they intertwine with one another. Before we begin with that, our top story involves the return of a former affiliate during the first season of the eFed Watcher. The promotion known as Uprising is back, and their roster list has already exploded, so few spots remain. Also, Uprising will make their presence known at Pro Wrestling Collective's Megacard as Jude Mitchell puts up his title against Lazarus. This unsanctioned title was one he swiped from MWA when it folded, so it'll be interesting to see where this title goes in the future. I'm glad to see them back, as I was both shocked and sad when they closed. Our first story from Sin and Sacrifice traces a long, painful history that has finally spilled fully into the present. What began years ago in another federation as a rivalry turned into tragedy when a backstage fireball meant for Aleki Kakoa instead disfigured his wife, Alyssa, driving them apart and fracturing her mind. As Aleki descended into a self-styled wrestling god persona, Alyssa rebuilt herself physically and mentally, emerging as Mystique, a darker, ruthless counterpart who craved control, worship, and Aleki's devotion. Now, in PWE, that unresolved trauma has become the central conflict. Mystique, trying to resurrect the god she believes belongs to her, while Alyssa, the real woman beneath it all, struggles to survive the monster created by betrayal and obsession. That war turned violently personal at Sin and Sacrifice in Las Vegas. On the night Aleki was set to defend the PWE Prestige Championship against Damon Graves, Mystique confronted him in his locker room, taunting him with the past and trying to drag him back into divinity. When Aleki rejected her and chose Alyssa instead, the confrontation exploded into a savage assault that ended with Mystique smashing the championship into his skull, only for Alyssa to resurface moments later, horrified by what she'd done. Aleki still walked out to the main event bloodied and shaken as the damage was already done. Against Damon Graves, Aleki fell, losing the Prestige Championship, and closing the night not just without gold, but with the haunting truth that his greatest enemy wasn't across the ring, but was forever bound to his own past. Next, we take a look at the outcome of Aurora Graves versus Griffin Hawkins in a career versus hair match. This was the emotional payoff to one of PWE's most personal stories. After weeks of build-up following Aurora Graves' shocking challenge, putting her career on the line against Griffin Hawkins' iconic hair, the stakes were crystal clear heading into Sin and Sacrifice. What began as mutual respect between longtime friends developed into a must-see confrontation, with Aurora determined to check the one remaining box in her career, and Griffin agreeing to risk the very symbol of his identity. When the bell rang in Las Vegas, the match delivered on every ounce of that gravity. Graves and Hawkins wrestled a fiercely competitive, deeply respectful war, trading signature offense, reversals, and near falls that repeatedly had the crowd convinced it was over, only for the other to survive. Neither took shortcuts, even with careers and legacies hanging in the balance, breaking holds at 4 counts and refusing cheap endings. As exhaustion set in, the match became a battle of pride and heart, with both competitors stealing each other's moves and digging deeper than ever before. In the end, Griffin Hawkins finally sealed it with a definitive sequence capped by a holy diver, scoring a clean victory in the center of the ring. The aftermath was just as powerful as the match itself. With Aurora Graves' career officially over, the arena rose in a thunderous standing ovation, chanting, "Thank you, Aurora," as she and Griffin shared a heartfelt handshake and moment of mutual respect. Aurora raised Griffin's hand, signaling the future, before quietly walking up the ramp, tears visible despite her composure. Griffin remained in the ring, overwhelmed, victorious, but fully aware of the cost. It was not just the end of a match, but but the closing chapter of a legacy and a moment that will define PWE heading into 2026. In the main event, Aleki Kekoa defended the PWE Prestige Championship against Damon Graves, but it was clear from the opening moments that Aleki was not himself. Still feeling the effects of his earlier violent confrontation with Mystique, the champion wrestled through a fog, his head bandaged, his timing just a step slow. Damon zeroed in on that weakness immediately, repeatedly targeting Aleki's head and leg, forcing him to survive rather than dominate. Aleki showed flashes of his usual power, even landing my divine birthright and locking in my will be done, but the sharpness simply wasn't there. Every time he surged forward, Damon dragged him back into deep water, stretching joints, twisting limbs, and forcing Aleki to rely on instinct instead of control. The end came when Damon trapped Aleki in Luck Runs Out in the center of the ring. With nowhere to go and his body finally betraying him, Aleki tapped out, ending his reign and crowning Damon Graves as the new Prestige champion. What followed was pure respect. Aleki, stunned and bloodied, rose to shake Damon's hand before quietly leaving the ring, giving the moment entirely to the new champion. But Damon's victory was only part of the story. Exhausted and emotional, he addressed the Las Vegas crowd and revealed the unthinkable. He was done. Damon announced his retirement, vacating the Prestige Championship on the spot, choosing to walk away on top rather than hold the title hostage. Moments later, Aurora Graves, whose own career had ended earlier in the night, joined him in the ring. Together, they shared a deeply personal farewell, speaking not as legends, but as survivors who gave everything they had to wrestling. The image that closed Sin and Sacrifice was haunting and unforgettable. Damon and Aurora removing their boots and placing them beside the Prestige Championship at center ring, leaving behind silence, legacy, and an empty throne. With Aleki defeated and both Damon and Aurora retired, PWE closed the show with the night changed forever, its future wide open, and its past honored in the most powerful way possible. Well, that's it for the show. If you haven't already, check out Sin and Sacrifice from Prestige Wrestling Empire. I do have one final thing to say before I go, and that's this. Kimberly Williams. Love you, girl. Until next time, you can call me Ticket, and I will call you my friends.